Hey, listen, I have to fly out of here. I have a memorial gig that I'm doing afterwards, so I'm not being rude. I'm coming.
We ask that you please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the South Jersey Shore, a welcoming and inclusive faith community. We'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking a chance to join us for worship. We welcome those watching virtually today, and we welcome your comments online. My name is Marty Quish, and I am your worship associate this morning. I am a member of this congregation and currently serve on the men's committee, interweave, and I am president of the board of trustees. Our worship service today is led by Alison Maxfield. Alison is honored to be sharing her insights on today's sermon with the UUC SJS community. As a social worker with 16 years experience and an energy healer, she specializes in spiritual counseling. She feels all faith systems are valid and sacred, from atheist to spiritual to devout. She believes that value-based actions fueled by passion build community, connection into healing expression. She is proud to be a friend of UUC SJS. Video of today's service will be available on our YouTube channel later today. Care to tweet during today's service, you can use the hashtag. Something happened here. You can use the hashtag UUCSJS. Welcome to worship.
Continually teaching me. the chance to find what you're made of, living. Open your eyes to what lies
Welcome into this place of healing. Welcome into this place of challenge and growth. Welcome into this place of imperfection and aspiration. You are whole. You are holy. You are wholly loved. Our chalice lighter today is Jess Connor. Please read with me the chalice lighting words in your order of service. All Souls Chalice Lighting by Florence Catwalk. As we kindle this flame, we honor and remember those who have passed into the mystery, their brightness lives on in our visions, their courage lives on in our commitments, and their love continues to bless the world through us. Please rise in body and spirit to sing our gathering hymn, the Solstice Chant, whose words are in your order of service.
deep, deep, deep into the heart of the winter. Deep, deep, deep into the womb of the mother. Deep, 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 where there is no other song but the song of my soul. Deep, deep, deep into the heart of the winter. Deep, deep, deep into the womb of the mother. Deep, 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 where there is no other song but the song of my soul.
We will now light the religious education lantern. We light this lantern for our children and youth and for us. Celebrating the flame of faith lighted in each of us, honoring the light each of us brings into the world, rejoicing in the community that we create together. The children will now collect donations for local food pantries, animal shelters, and the Coalition Against Rape and Abuse.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of
worship hour is a time for people to connect and let others know what is on their mind. A book is provided in the foyer in which you are invited to write whatever joys and concerns you have as you enter. I will now read what you have shared. And this week there's no sharing. Nobody shared this week. Anyway, we are glad you have found your way here this morning. May our time together renew our hope. May the stories we share refresh our courage. May the songs we sing lift our spirits. May the words we speak invigorate us. May the touch of hands, the sound of laughter, the sight of faces new and familiar restore us in faith. I now invite you to come forward and silently place a stone representing your joys or concerns in water on either side of the chancel. Let us be in the spirit of prayer. Blessed and holy creation, universe of wonder, mystery beyond definition. We share today our joys and sorrows, placing stones that make ripples in water and glimmer in the light of our chalice. Our hearts are touched by this shared ritual, and we are connected. We pray for those who are apart from us, whether by distance, time, or conflict unresolved. We pray for those who thirst, whether for water, dignity, or justice. We pray for our small, blue, fragile planet. Amen.
For still and small, deep
to remind ourselves from time to time that the offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that it is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our yearly programs and ministries of worship and religious education, pay our staff and professional religious leaders, and finance the comfort and beauty of our building. If this is your first time visiting with us today, feel free to let the basket pass, as your presence is gift enough. For those who are participating online, please visit uucsjs.org and click on the yellow donate button for ways to donate. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship.
So, in honoring Halloween, Halloween's here, right? Right, pretty much. Does anyone celebrate regular Halloween?
Alison, use the step, please.
The step. Okay. Hi. I now feel taller and more egotistical. Thank you. And that's very important, especially when you're speaking. Okay. All right. So, I have a really bad joke to start with, okay? And I just have to do it. If I don't do it, I'm not going to feel okay. So, what is black and silver and can scare a cat? Anybody know? Okay. It's my opener. Thank you very much. I'll be here an hour. Just kidding, 20 minutes. Okay, so today we are focused on honoring Halloween. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a little joke in the beginning about Halloween is because we're not going to be talking about regular Halloween. We're actually going to be going into the pagan Halloween and some other earth-based traditions of Native American person, actually. And so in paganism, this particular time is called Samhain. And Samhain is about, you can go to the next slide. Samhain is about the harvest. The harvest. So when you think of the harvest, you think about the beautiful fruits that have been growing all since spring, and now they're being harvested for use in another way. And it's great to honor the harvest, the fruits of our labors. You know, maybe all year long we worked really hard to make a lot of money. Now we're receiving a bounty from that, and now we're giving most of it up to taxes. So it's a great time to celebrate the harvest before we give another harvest to somebody else. But basically, at this time, when I, you know, as a practicing pagan and a whole bunch of different other types of spirituality, I like to see this time as the harvest and a tree. I get the image of a tree when I really think of a harvest. And I think about the fruits of a tree. And I think about how that one apple is a part of this huge tree, and it's just here. So I see the tree as the tree of life. And when we're on this tree, and we are the apple, this whole tree supports us through our entire life. Even when we're in trouble, what do we get? Life support, right? So all through our life, we have this amazing, amazing support system of this tree. And the cool thing is, if we're on this branch over here and it's not working for us, we can go out on a limb over here and it might just work. Or we can just say, you know what, I'm going to cut down that branch because it's not working for me, and let me build up a new one over here because it's going to be a more positive growth of myself, right? So our apple is right here, and all of our lives, our apple is right here. And then towards the end of the life, it gets harvested. And then the seeds that we created all through our life go into the ground and are made into another beautiful tree, or feed an animal, or whatever the case might be. So, what is our fruit going to look like, right? That's the question. And one of the best things that I like to do through living myself as a fruity person throughout my life is the practice of thankfulness. Just thanking God every single day. Sometimes I have the mind of a person who's into God. Sometimes I just do thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, which I think is a perfect way for a potential atheist to think. But regardless, the act of gratitude really makes a difference. Okay, so in Native American culture, by the way, when I was researching, there's 562 different Indian groups, tribes in America, plus. So when we think of Native Americans, we usually think of like the top 10, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Lenape, right? We have the Lenape area here. But 562, that's a lot of different traditions. So when I was studying this, I was thinking to myself, what can I bring to the table about Native American culture that really speaks? And what I love that really is in congruence with the UU culture is the idea of the interdependent web of life. Okay, so Native Americans always see everything in almost all of the cultures as there being a great spirit that all of us are connected to, and that death is an inevitability of life. It's just part of the natural process, right? But I love the idea of seeing us as all connected. Everything in Native American culture is all connected. The ant is just as important as the butterfly, which is just as important as the bird, which is just as important as the birth, which is just as important as the death. It's all part of the interconnected web of life, which goes under the title and is connected and put together with the Great Spirit. So the Great Spirit isn't something outside of the Native American culture. You're in it, and it's there. So it's just a beautiful concept to me. Now, in Native American culture, there's also a lot of songs. So when you're born, you have a song that is your song throughout your whole entire life. And in Native American cultures, there's a song for everything. I mean, I'm sure there's even a song for going to the bathroom. I don't know what it is, but I bet you there is one. But this song I love so much, and it's really uplifting to me, so I'm going to play it. This is the Native American mourning song. Not mourning as in death, but mourning as in greeting the morning and saying, thank you, Spirit, for the morning. Thank you. What the song means is, I am the Great Spirit. Ho, I am the Great Spirit. Great Spirit, Great Spirit, Great Spirit. So it is, so it is, so it is. Okay, now, does anybody know who Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is? Right, okay. Now, does everybody know that she is the most prevalent authority on death and dying. If you go anywhere, to any therapist anywhere, the therapist is going to say, I'm so sorry you suffered a loss. That's terrible that you're dealing with the death of your pet, the death of your parents, losing that job. Let's talk about the stages of grief. And that therapist is going to mention Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, because she's the most prevalent popular model. And they're going to say, wow, you might go through denial. You might go through anger, stages of anger. You might go through bargaining. You might go through depression. And you might go through acceptance. All right. So Elizabeth, and that's from her famous book on death and dying, written in 1969. But Elizabeth Kubler-Ross actually wrote a subsequent work, which really went into all the different ways you can experience loss and grief. But that's not as popular. This one is, because with our mindsets of heuristics, needing a simple shortcut to get a simple answer, and heuristics are all about boxes, putting that thought into a box that makes sense. Here's the box. This is the box that everybody knows and has. Problem is, this box was made for someone in the process of dying. So when a person comes to a counselor, and I did this for so long, I would use this box to help the person understand. Boxes are limiting, extremely limiting. Guess what? You might feel a lot of different things than just those emotions. So what happens is then you have this feeling of, is something wrong with me that I'm feeling happy? Ooh, I shouldn't feel happy. Something's wrong with me. Is something wrong with me that I'm feeling relieved? Oh, something's wrong with me that I'm feeling relieved. Is something wrong with me that I'm feeling apathetic? Well, that doesn't fit the model. Okay. So there's a lot more emotions with grief, and everyone has, just like their own personal snowflake of beauty, everyone has different reactions. And all reactions of grief are valid. The other thing that's very important to know about grief is the grieving process takes a really long time, or a really short time, could take a lifetime. There is no time limit on it. So a lot of people beat themselves up when they come into therapy and they say, what's wrong with me that I'm not over this yet? You're not supposed to be. Everything happens in your time. Healing happens in your time. And healing takes time. So now we're on to the grief storm. And this is going to be a fun interactive activity. If you feel uncomfortable doing this at any time, please refrain from doing it and just observe. So these are some of the things that I see from a lot of my clients. A lot of my clients come in and they're in this grief storm, and I mean they're in it. The second they sit down on my couch, they're crying. And then I'm crying because I really feel for them too sometimes. But so a lot of people feel anger that I see, denial, guilt, shame, blame, rage, confusion, feeling lost, lonely, and maybe being in some sort of acceptance state. All of this happens at the same time, okay? So there's something really fun here, so I have to play with it. So the grief storm goes like this, and it just starts whirling around all these emotions. And the one emotion that needs to be really taken into consideration is depression. Many people go from this into this. Now this place is called severe depression. And in the place of severe depression, nothing makes sense. Can everyone relate to that place? Nothing makes sense. Everything's confused, muddled. You're crying your eyes out, you're screaming, you're laughing, you're having huge emotional release, or you're feeling numb. And if you go really, really low, you go into the place of the rock. And the rock doesn't want to move forward, doesn't want to move backward, doesn't want to move at all. Okay, so are there any other thoughts that anyone has pertaining to any other emotions that might come up during the grief storm? Can you think of any other, and please call them out. Anything else that you ever experienced other than those words?
Fear.
Fear, yep.
Frustration.
Frustration, absolutely.
Loneliness.
Loneliness, Totally. What else?
Hopeless.
Hope. Oh my God, that's one of the best ones. Hopeless. Hopeless. A feeling you can't do anything. What else do we got?
Despair.
Despair. Anything else? Well, no worries. What we're going to do right now is an interactive experience. If you would like, please close your eyes at this time. If not, do not. And I want you to put yourself in a place of the last time you really felt grief. You really felt grief over something. It could be the loss of your mobility, the loss of a pet, loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of a parent. Put yourself in that place and see the sights of that place. What are the visions that come up? And as you're seeing these visions, what are the emotions that come up? And be in this place. Wonderful. Right now you're doing mindful awareness. Okay? So let's come out of this place right now, because it's a hard place to be in, right? It's really upsetting. We're scared we might cry right now or show emotions that we don't usually show to the world. Okay? Now we're going to create the grief storm. Remember in the past when we used to create rainstorms? Well, we're going to do it again. So right now, the rain is coming down. The rain is coming down. Okay? Everybody stop. The rain is coming down. We're in the beginning of that grief place. It's like everything is turning. We're in denial. We can't believe this. Now, pat your legs, and now we're going into the really hard rain. And that rain is just pounding me, pounding me. I feel confused. I feel despair. I can't believe this. I'm in shock. I'm in shock. Now, here comes the thunder. Get it out. Get it out. Here's the thunder. Here's the thunder. Here's the thunder. And lightning crashes. Lightning crashes. Lightning crashes. Lightning crashes. Lightning crashes. Great. Now, wait 1 second. Did any other words come up for anybody about this experience? Go ahead.
Violence.
Violence. Great. Anything else?
Regret.
Hopelessness. Regret.
Desperation.
Desperation.
Shame.
Great. Shame. Anything else?
Longing.
Longing. Yes. Attachment. We're going to discuss that later. The more we attach, and the more we are attached, the process of grieving is the process of disattachment, like detachment with love, so that you can get to a place where you can really reattach to the life as it is, right? Okay, so pull that up. Let's go. It's coming down hard now. Coming down hard. Now, feel free to add how you feel. Oh my God, this is horrible. Just get it out right now. Just say it. This is horrible. This is terrible. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Why did this have to happen to me? Why did this have to happen? This is so unfair. Go with the emotions. Think the emotions and say the emotions. Now, heartbreak, 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 heartbreak. No! 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 And stop. Good. So we just had something called a shared cathartic experience to release somatization within our body related to grief. Great job. It's so much more fun when grief is shared, isn't it? You know? Not fun in a way like, yay, but fun in a way that we're not alone. The most painful thing about grief is the choice of isolation. When we isolate, we go into an ego state that is so incredibly painful. It's so divorced and detached from the tree of life. Our fruit basically says, I'm going to purposely detach from the tree of life. And I am the only apple out there, and I am the only one suffering like this, and I deserve this pain. Now, why would you say I deserve this pain? Because the initial reaction of all grief, Kubler-Ross says it's denial, then anger. Guess what underneath in the anger? Guilt. The first thing we say to ourselves is, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Or what should I have done? Or what could I have done? The first thing you do is you feel this incredible anger. And then you say, those doctors screwed up, or that vet did a horrible job. The anger goes both ways. And when you're in a state of hopelessness and you get no answers for putting your anger out there, why? Now you turn it into yourself. And you start beating yourself up with the anger. Because anger can go both ways. Out here, what did the doctor do wrong? In here, what did I do wrong? It's a very dangerous place once you start going to the inside place. So, right now I want to talk about Sigmund Freud. And this is one of my favorite people because, he talks about sex a lot. How can you not like him, right? But this is actually the one theory that isn't really that, sexual or perverted or really? Okay. All right, so this is the idea of death drives versus life drives. And this is from his book, Beyond the Pleasure Principle, written in 1920. And so he calls, of course he has German names for these things that I can't say, but basically he calls it death drives. And death drives are our drives towards not wanting to be here. Right? Did anybody ever feel, and just raise your hand, did anybody ever feel when they're in the midst of a loss, they just didn't want to be here? Right? They didn't want to do life anymore? Right? They didn't want to go on? Right? How could this happen to me? Right? Okay. So, death drives are drives towards self-destruction. Think about Romeo and Juliet. The love that they couldn't have was so painful, Romeo decided to take, his own life. Right? So, we have to watch out for that. A lot of people, especially seniors, when they've had a beautiful long-term relationship and they've had a partner, if the partner dies, if they don't have enough outside interest of themselves, if they haven't really created a strong sense of identity of their own, if they don't have a strong feeling of independence, they perish. They go into a state of failure to thrive. And that's why there's a lot of statistics where if someone dies in a long-term relationship and they've been together like a really long time, the other one will die within 6 months. They don't want to be here anymore. And who can blame them, right? There's no blame here. But we really want to watch out for that death instinct. So we're dealing with death. We're in the midst of all these really difficult emotions. And now there's that stone idea. I don't want to move. No, and I don't want to be here. We really have to watch out for that. So when we feel that way, we want to go into the life instinct. And the life instinct is reaching out to others, doing everything you need to do, picking yourself back up, and choosing to be on that tree again. You can go to the next one. Okay. From the last slide, I just want to give a little case example. So there was, and I always change around information to protect clients and stuff like that, like a lot. So there was a man that I served, and this man lost his wife. And it was the most upsetting thing that ever happened to him in his life. Because his wife was his best friend. She was his everything. But he was, a younger man. He still had a lot of great things to do in life. And he came to me and he said, I can't get over the grief of what happened. I can't get over the grief of what happened. And my health is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I said to him, well, what are the things that you're doing to process through this grief? And he said, well, I keep an urn of the ashes of my wife in every single location I'm at. And I said to him, do you think perhaps seeing an urn instead of a picture of your wife is actually encouraging you to do more of the death instinct and go into self-destruction. And when he realized that, he's like, oh, I have been focusing so much on the death, I forgot to focus on the life. On the life. Okay? So now we're on the next slide. And, you know what, I'm going to tell you another little story, but you can keep this one. This is another little story. This is about loss of the ability of mobility. Okay? And this client in the past was somebody in the trade field. He was really talented with his hands. He was in a very high position. And he worked for a company. He was in charge of a lot of construction projects. And he was extremely well respected in the community. And on his watch, something horrible happened at one of the places he was developing. And he got hurt. And here was a man so incredibly physically active, vibrant. I mean, he could run marathons, do triathlons. I mean, you name it. And suddenly, he can't move that well. He can't. And he came in, I was working as a crisis worker at the time as part of Atlantic Care, and it was a divergence program. And he said, my life is over. My life is totally over. And I said to him, I gave him a lot of compassion, a lot of validation for his feelings, but then I said to him, you're right, it is over. Those abilities are not your path at this time. If you think about it, the tree of his life lost some limbs, right? But I said to him, what can you do now? What can you do? And he's like, well, I found that in my spare time while I'm recuperating, I love to tinker. And I've always loved to tinker. And I said, well, what do you like to tinker on? He said, bikes. I love to tinker and make bikes. I love to get bikes. I love to go to yard sales, get these bikes. And I said, okay, so you've always been someone who really added and was of service to community. That was his biggest thing. Greatest pride in life. What can you do with these bikes? So he started focusing on what he could do as opposed to the past him of what he can no longer do. Let go of attachment to the past him. Suddenly, he started creating a not-for-profit to get people who like to tinker like him to fix bikes to give to impoverished children in the area. So when life throws us that curveball and some of our limbs fall off or this, that, and the other, lamenting the past, you've got to do it. But then take that pause and say, as part of my hero journey, what can I still do and what can I do going forward? And do it. All right, so the next slide is the tree of truth. That's the one we're on. And it might be hard to see a little bit, but positive energy is forgiving, honesty, gratitude, passionate, happy, bravery, inspired, loyal, diligent, kindness. Negative energy is complaining, sadness, selfish, lazy, confused, self-centered, egotistical, arrogant, angry, violent, a lot of fear. So you can see from the negative side, when grief hits us, we're really in that negative side. So we have to bring the light to our tree, and the light is the positive energy. We must bring it, or else our tree might die. So we really, really need to get into those life instincts. So in the greatest places of darkness, we need to find that light. And the most amazing thing that happens in these places is we do adaptation. So then we find, what things in my life really bring me light? And that's where we find our purpose of life. And we find the meaning in our life and what this stage really means. So some of the solutions you can do that I suggest is joining a group, especially a grief group, working with a therapist, creating a memorial drive or charity event for the person, giving away the items the person would have wanted to have shared, or the pet would have wanted to have shared. Pets live on when we allow the pet to live on even if the pet passes. So if we give away all those things related to the pet so somebody else can have them, maybe they don't have the money, that's a beautiful tribute to the animal we loved. And it's a way to move forward. Being there for another. When you're at your worst, be there for another. It's the best thing on earth and it really works because it takes you out of your ego state of pain and despair. Reach out to your support system, friends, family, pets, lawyers. Sometimes you really have to reach out to that lawyer. So pick one you like, okay? And try to go into action. So sharing, grief needs sharing and grief needs action. Okay? When we're in a state of grief, we can easily get into that rock state where we are not going to move forward. The only way out of that rock state is seeking balance first, balancing yourself in the eye of the storm, which is very helpful with meditation, which we're going to do something great with Gina soon. But seeking that balance, accepting that you're having a swiftly changing landscape that is going to be crazy at any time. Grief comes out of nowhere. Grief is like a thief in the night. It's going to steal that moment away from you. And then you're going to go into the storm. So allow the storm to happen, but then name it. Whatever emotions are coming up, start to name them. Oh, I'm feeling despair. Oh, I'm feeling reverence. Oh, I'm feeling less than. Name it. Claim it. Okay, I'm feeling these ways. Tame it. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Call a friend. Do a support thing. And then ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? What do I really need? Do I need to just sit in this? But the thing about spirituality that is different than spiritual bypass. Spirituality is bringing together all different ideas from different traditions and making it work for you. Spiritual bypass is not feeling the feelings related to what's going on. So sometimes when we're in grief, we go too much towards the life instinct to ignore the death that just happened. And that's where addictions happen. You know, I don't want to deal with the death of this person, now I'm going to go to the casino all the time, or I'm going to drink all the time. Instead, we want to move forward with action, but we also want to be in the feelings of grief. So humor really helps. Journaling is extremely helpful for really getting into the space of what is true. Because when we get very emotional, we can do emotional reasoning where suddenly ideas are coming up that may not be true. Like, you know, my sister never cared for him. She didn't give any money for this. Or that. Maybe there's reasons. We don't have, the more emotional we get, the more we can get into emotional reasoning, which can really, really cause us to go into delusions, illusions, stuff like that. And if we go too much into the life instinct, we're avoiding the pain. So we don't want to avoid, and we don't want to distract. We want to be in it. And we want to bring the light to elevate out of it, even if it's just for a minute. So keep moving forward. Don't give up. Do your bucket list. Do what you fear. That's a great way to reclaim your life. Keep moving on. So right now, we're going to hear from Chief Tecumseh, some great words of advice. If we can play them. Let's see. Oh, you know what? We'll see this, please. I'll play it on here. So when Charlie Roberts died, who knew Charlie Roberts? Charlie Roberts was an incredible friend to me, and an incredible friend to the congregation. I was in severe pain and loss because he was my best friend for like 8 years. But during towards the end of our relationship on COVID Day, we went into this strange relationship. We'd never had that before in our life. And then he died. So my guilt was like 50,000 times more than the regular guilt. And I was in this severe, severe depression for about 6 months. So the song you just heard was Charlie's song. And the only way I could move through forgiveness and move through past all the pain that I was feeling was to create something. So I created this song, Charlie's song, for the funeral. And it was my apology, but it was also honoring him. And I needed to do both in order to really move on. But I needed to do it in a creative way because that's the only way that works for me when I'm dealing with grief. So,
Can I try that again?
yeah, go ahead. So this was played at his second day of his funeral. It's okay, I'm gonna play. So, I'm going to go to, we're doing okay time-wise, or?
Look at the clock.
I see it. We might be running a little bit over. Would you like me to continue, or would you like me to kind of zip it up? Okay, zip it up. All right, so I'm going to not show the information from Tecumseh, but there is a great thing online that Tecumseh gives a lot of great words of wisdom.
Maybe we can put it on our Facebook page.
Great, we'll do that. Okay, so this is the last song that I wanted to share with you. I wasn't here for the other service to do the harvest song, but this is the harvest song. And I think the greatest thing that we can do with our apple that's on our tree, we know it's going to fall one day. So the best thing that we can do is put the best seeds inside our apple so that we can really, really make a difference for the world.
Harvest song. Plant your seeds of kindness wherever you may go. Seeds of love and kindness, and watch your flowers grow. Plant your seeds of mercy wherever you may go. Seeds of mercy, and watch your garden grow. The beauty of the harvest, we reap what we sow. So plant your
Okay, we're going to post the rest of that on the website. Thank you very much for today, and thanks for letting me. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to do our closing hymn, which is going to be an Om chant. We've done this once before, recently, and it's considered to be a universal sound that exists within every word, being, and faith. Its origins are in Hinduism and Buddhism, and chanting this sound can help bring peace and calm to the body, mind, and soul. And Alison and I talked a lot about what we could bring to this, and I really appreciate all your input. And so we're going to do this Om. Everyone will do it eight times, and you don't have to wait for the next person next to you to start the next Om. Just go through it, and when you're done, you're done. We're going to do them 8 times. Take a nice deep breath. Om. Om.
Keegan and I are in a band together, and this is a song that we created. The person playing guitar on this song is John Bourne. And Katie's playing the keys.
First time?
Yep. When I was 10, my father died. I ripped the bed sheets and I cried. I wasn't sure how I survived. I saw the sunset in